This is a demonstration of Tunisian reverse stitch. The reverse stitch creates a much more textured surface, as you can see by the raised lines. It adds textural interest when you combine it with some of the other stitches, and it also can be used to make quite a neat fold line if you want to make a piece of crochet fold. So if I now demonstrate, I've just got a very short number of stitches here. I've done 10 chains and I've worked the foundation row, and the foundation row is the same whatever stitch you're then going to make in the sample, because this row doesn't become defined until you work the next row of loops. So I'm now going to work the forward pass for the reverse stitch. Normally when we're looking at Tunisian crochet, you've got a vertical bar at the front, you've also got a vertical bar at the back. And when you're working simple stitch, you go under the front vertical bar. To work reverse Tunisian, you've got to come round to the back and you're going to work through the back vertical bar. And it can sometimes be a little bit fiddly to get everything in place to start with. So I need to come round to the back and find that first vertical bar and put my hook through the vertical bar while still keeping the working yarn under the hook. I can now take my yarn round the hook and pull it through to create a new loop. Once you've got the first one worked, it generally is easier. So you're going to come through from the back, through the vertical bar at the back, and pull a new loop through. And as you do that, it pushes this top ridge to the front. So again, I'm keeping the hook in front of the yarn, through the back vertical bar, bring up a new loop. So again, through the back vertical bar, pull a loop. Sometimes if you can't see it, it can help to turn the crochet over to find the bar. Generally I find once I've done the first stitch, it becomes easier to then get your hook in through the back. So we work down to, so I just pull it to make sure I'm getting the right next stitch. So that's the next stitch. I've got one more stitch, and now I'm at the end of the forward pass, and although I was working the loops differently for most of the length, at the end here you still work the standard double chain stitch at the end of the forward pass. So I'm still making the same stitch. I'm not coming in from behind or anything. You just go into your chain at the end of your forward pass as you would normally with the simple stitch. I now want to work my reverse pass, which is the same, the return pass, which is the standard return pass, which is chain 1, and then yarn over hook and pull through 2 until we get back to 1 stitch. Get through those 2, through 2, through 2. So I've now completed 1 row of reverse stitch. I now have my undefined row, so I can now work another row of reverse stitch. And again, I find it easier for the first one. I quite often have to turn it right over and actually let go of the yarn so that I can get my hook into that back vertical bar. So having got it in place, I can now go back to my normal hold and work another row of reverse Tunisian stitch. So again, with the hook at the back, going through the reversible bar at the back. As you get more fabric in your swatch, it becomes easier to work. So that's the last reverse stitch. I'm now back at the end of my row, so I want to find my chain at the end here. So that's that loop and that one. So I've got both legs of the chain, take my yarn round and then work the return pass. So that's chain 1, 1. So again, it's always on these standard stitches, it's yarn round, hook and pull through 2 to get back to the beginning again. So with the reverse stitch, it's the same. I'm sorry, just pulling up some more yarn. It's the same as other Tunisian crochet stitches. Quite often this end can tend to be longer and looser than this end, than the left hand end. The right hand end tends to be longer. So if you can work that first stitch a little bit tighter, so I'm going to find my first back bar, bring the yarn round, pull the yarn a bit tight and pull a new loop through. So I'm trying to keep this stitch tight, and then after that it's not quite such a problem. So again, we're going to go through the back bar. Generally with Tunisian, you're trying to keep your stitches relatively loose, so once you've pulled a new loop through, pull it up so that you've got some height. So we keep going through the back vertical bar. I missed the loop properly there, so let's just pull it down again through the back vertical bar, and again, and having got to the end of the forward pass, we're looking for our chain at the end here to pull through, and then at this end, as I start the return pass, I pull down on this end so that I don't pull this, let this edge get too tight, and then just work an even tension as I work the chains off back to the beginning again. And as you can see, you're getting these nice textured ridges which can be used to separate patterns or cause the fabric to fold. The other thing about reverse stitches, it generally lays flatter than some of the other Tunisian stitches. So that's Tunisian reverse stitch.